What is true power? In this chapter, I had to really dig in because as she becomes the warrior archetype, Rook, in the book that I'm writing, sorry, this is obviously a playlist of stuff inspired and talking about things I've wrote in the book, more so riffing off of what I have read in there and decided just felt good to talk about. So right now, Rook is in a position to where she is becoming the warrior. Now she has that skill. She has that tool, the hammer. So she has the hammer, so to speak. And now she can fight. She knows how to use that. She knew how to fight before, but in a different manner. So now that she has that weapon, that tool, what does it mean? She's learning that it doesn't mean you just go crazy and start swinging the hammer. You start swinging the sword or attacking or swinging your fists. To go into battle against something isn't always the most efficient, isn't always the best use of the weapon that you have or the tool that you have. A hammer can go in and it can beat heads, so to speak, or it can pound in nails, or it can break down things. It's a tool and it's all in how you wield it. So in the same, power is a tool. Money is a tool. Energy, the things around you that you tap into, resources, in other words, these resources are a tool that can be used for harm or help. It all depends on you, on how you use it and how you think about it. So a true warrior, a seasoned warrior, has the skills to know when and how to use a weapon, when and how to use a tool. So we look at right now, we're told in society, that basically you go to war. You don't like something, you want to change something, you go to war. Countries go to war for resources and arguments and everything else. But a warrior, not a soldier, a warrior can see when and where, how much pressure to apply, how much violence to apply, so to speak, in self-defense or in offense. So just because you have the power doesn't mean you should use it. You show restraint. And in here, Rook shows restraint. There is an oppressor, and she's wanting to stand up against that oppressor. But she doesn't just go and start swinging fists and attacking him. She has grown since then. She has learned what true power is. And attacking is not the answer. So when she goes and she stands her ground, she stands firm, she stands tall and proud, she stands with intention. And she basically says, no more. Because a bully generally is bullying because they were bullied. There's something in them that they're trying to fill, and they're trying to do it. They don't know how to fill it except for to take from others. So when she stands against the bully and he sees that she's standing firm, she's standing her ground, it's not about can I take her power away from her. It's about I don't want to mess with that. That looks like an uphill battle. That's too much effort. It's not worth it. So she stands firm and she says no more. She doesn't attack him. She doesn't throw her weight around. She just simply stands firm in her energy and her power, knowing what her power is. And so to him, it's not worth it. She's elevated. She's at a higher vibration. She's at a different place. She's beyond where he can reach because she won't lower herself down to meet him. And so he would have to rise up. And to him, it's just not worth it. When he sees the power that she's standing, when he sees her discernment in the moment. And so he kind of mutters about it and leaves it be and makes excuses. But true power doesn't come in attacking, in reacting. It's in taking that moment to take a breath, to reset your nervous system and not react, to know when you're going to help a situation or harm a situation. It's being strategic, but also being in the moment and being in flow. And so in this, she basically stands up to him without having to attack. So in life, we have to stand firm. If we want to stand against our oppressor, we don't just attack it or try to destroy it. Because if we do attack it and destroy it, we're likely in the same energy that combated it. We had to meet it. We had to drop ourselves down and we meet that energy. And when we meet that energy, we're in the energy. And what to say, we don't just replace it with something the same, except for we're the ones in charge. And we convince ourselves, well, this is for the greater good. And then before you know it, you're as corrupt as they are. So the point is, if you want to replace a system or reform a system, it's better to create it yourself from the ground up, to be what needs the change, to be the change that is needed, instead of being, I got caught up in my words, oh my gosh. Anyways, moving on now. This is me trying to not be perfect. This is me being okay with my flaws. As a matter of fact, actually the previous video, 11 minutes long, it was so powerful. And I went to watch it to check it, and no volume. The mic wasn't working. Matter of fact, to make sure the green light's on, yes. So yeah, 11 minutes of talking into a camera and not having anything to show for it. So I decided this time I would just do it again after the frustration, and it's like, well, what can you do? You know? So in the same manner as I was speaking, in the book, she's standing up for herself, but she's learning how to do it, how to stand up for herself and for others, but how to be in that power. Like, what is power? Power is knowing that you have it within you to harm, but holding back and realizing a better way, realizing when you do need to use it and when you, like, how much force to apply instead of just going in there willy-nilly. And so in the same way, there's a fear in ourselves, and there's a fear sometimes to stand up. There's a fear not of fighting somebody, but it's a fear of letting ourselves loose. It's a fear of a lack of trust. We don't trust ourselves that we can contain the power. We think that we'll become corrupt. Many of us are taught, not necessarily from our parents, but just in general, in the society that we grew up in, we were taught, don't love yourself too much. You'll become conceited. You'll stomp on others. You'll become corrupt, and you'll be drunk with love, drunk with power. You're going to hurt others. You're going to step on their heads. Don't do all these things. Stay small, and give away all your power and all your love, and then others will return it to you. But in reality, you go to the source of your power, the source of your love. You give yourself self-compassion because you are still learning. You're still figuring it out. You're still remembering who you are, what you are. You're remembering your power, and you're remembering your love, and you're remembering your source, that you are source. So cut yourself slack. And in there, it's okay to love yourself because you have to trust yourself. The people who basically, I wouldn't say are corrupt, but the people who misuse power and misuse love, people who are conceited and love themselves more than everybody else, and it looks bad because, oh, look at them, they don't care about anything else but themselves. A lot of them tend to be lacking that love inside themselves, and they're overcompensating for a lack of love. They're still disconnected. They haven't learned to reconnect. But when you reconnect to your power and you reconnect to your love and you remember who you are, you remember your purpose in this life. And I don't mean, a life purpose. I mean the purpose that you live with and bring to whatever you do. That purpose, that love, that compassion, that passion. Give it to yourself first. Fill your cup so that it runneth over. And then from there, you are filling others' cup, not from a place of scarcity where you might run out. You're filling their cup from a place of overflowing abundance, overflowing love, overflowing, because you are the source. Give to yourself first, and then spill over into others. And people will see that. They will see your light. They will see your love. They will see your passion. And that will ignite something inside themselves. And they might be jealous at first because they don't know. They think that you stumbled on some kind of secret. They don't know the truth, but they'll figure it out. They'll discover it. Whether it's through you or through somebody else, they will figure it out, and you be that light. You be that pillar of love. You stand up and you stand proud and you stand firm. That is true power. And with true power comes the knowledge of what you can do and what you will do and what you are doing. Like, is it better to be the person that has no power whatsoever? They're so weak that they never cross the line. But what happens if they're given that power, right then and there, and they haven't built themselves up? They haven't seen who they are. And through weakness, when they're given power, it looks as though they're corrupt. But the reality is, money, power, those are things that amplify you. They are extensions of you, the true you. So is it not better to have that power, to have that love, and to have that restraint, to control not the people around you, not the things around you, but to control yourself, to have power over yourself and know your true self? To me, that is more powerful, because then you set the example of others who can step into their power. Then you have the resources to change this world from the inside out, to change the internal so that I can project, so that the outside can mirror your inside. And you change your world, and that changes others' worlds, and that changes the world. But you don't go out there trying to force others. That only goes so far. And at the end, it leaves you empty. Because what are you doing? You're not going to source. You're filling and you're taking others to fill your cup. And that may seem inexhaustible. But the reality is the harm that it does, because you become a shell, you become a conduit that is empty. You become a bridge from A to B. But instead, if you become A and B, if you become the bridge that is not just a bridge, but is a portal, a source that fills and it passes through you, that would be the more ideal situation. That would be the more empowering situation. So anywho, I've come to the end of this video. I think I pretty well hit the points from the previous video. This one wasn't near as organized or flow as well as the previous one, because I was trying to pull back in memory, and in memory I lose flow because the mind kicks in, the ego kicks in, and also just trying to remember the things that I covered that came natural in the previous one. So that's why this one's a little bit different. But either way, leave a comment below, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your love. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you and your time that you've spent with me. And if you've made it to the end, like I said, drop a comment. And right now the channel is small enough that I can reply. I'll be of service any way that I can. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.